Let's get you up to speed of what we've been doing over the last 6 months of summer. I'm going to pick up from June when we cleared in at Beaufort, the USA, from Bahamas. The first thing was first, we had to get our sleep. And after a solid sleep, it was time to check in. We made sure we departed the Bahamas with some international roaming data on our phone. It's odd that these custom port officers use phones rather than VHF, when a lot of foreign people checking in just don't have these facilities yet. And in addition to this, a lot of these port officers are actually inland rather than on the shore of the ports. So to get to these ports, you have to either walk or find a cab. And again, you often don't have the phone plan set up yet, so you can't just call a cab or book an Uber. We had a few days of recuperation in Morehead City and Beaufort. It was quite a quaint little cute town, but very touristy. We searched town as we craved some greasy sustenance after our 5-day passage, but the restaurants here were having a laugh. We only wanted fish and chips, but at $17 for what looked like some crinkle cut chips from Walmart and a few deep fried prawns, we gave it a miss. And we turned our hopes and dreams to a servo station. Here we found a pre-made sandwich, the kind you worry about getting salmonella, but it was the best servo sandwich I've ever tasted, especially when crisps were involved. We had abstained from chips for 6 months, given that the heart of the ocean would be cheaper to buy throughout the Bahamas.
It was worn by Louis XVI.
Step 1 in getting away was going into the dock and getting fueled up and watered up. From here, we went through Beaufort Inlet and staged at Lookout Bight. Here we anchored for a 3 a.m. departure. We did this so we didn't have to time the tides or transit through the inlet and around the shoals at night time. From Beaufort, we were making our way to the Chesapeake Bay for hurricane season. This offshore route around Hatteras requires optimal conditions to navigate around the Cape. Unfortunately, good wind means swell, which is hazardous. So, no wind means flatter seas, but this means motoring. The passage was a straightforward motor sail, but very squally. As we neared the Chesapeake, 36 hours later and 270 nautical miles later, we entered the Chesapeake Bay. Here is famous for its American war history. How do I know this? Because I've watched the Hamilton musical. Oddly, I was asleep again, awoken by Dee at the helm pointing out a passing submarine. Just a normal day in the Chesapeake.
That throws some weight. You wouldn't think so given they're underwater.
There was a lot of boat traffic around the Chesapeake Bay as we entered. Norfolk is one of the largest ports in the world, and it also has the largest Navy base in the USA.
What's over there? I don't know. Not sure what they are. Can't see them.
Oh, submarine. I can see it now, but it is very hard to see. It's even got tape around it, so people don't trip over it. Your famous Comfort medical vessel made its appearance in COVID off New York. While entering the anchorage in Virginia, we had to play dodgem with crab pots. These are marked with small floating buoys, and there is a ridiculous amount of them. The crabbers drop the pots close to your boat, so inevitably it's in your swing area and they're going to be tangled around your rudder or your anchor chain. We had several caught under our anchor for days, and it wasn't until we could swing around that we could free them. We dropped our anchor, and now it was time to relax. It's a new day and another passage done, so our tradition is to celebrate this with a breakfast cook-up, followed by a day of rest. From June through to November is hurricane season, so we holed up in the Chesapeake for hurricane protection. We had 2 forecasted hurricanes due to hit us, and plenty that passed on by or fizzled out. And this means that we need to tend to the boat and secure everything. Luckily, we're living aboard. While we were tending to the mainsail, we also replaced the lazy jacks, which were very old. Lazy jacks help guide the sow up and down. We also stowed away our 2 head sails, the screecher into short-term storage and the jib into long-term storage, as this was actually being replaced. We regularly pulled up the bridle to clear it of growth, as we couldn't see it through the murky water on inspection. We regularly checked the anchor gear to prevent safety issues, and let out more anchor chain to prevent dragging in high winds.
I think they're a tunicate.
We could use this as one big fender, just tied on the side of our boat. And then we've even got 3 water cannons for the boats that come up beside us. Like it's a pirate boat. Ugh. It's so gross that it's kind of fun. Oh, my workout for the day. Every now and then you scrunch one under your scrunch under your coon. That feels gross.
Who's that ass clown? Oh, powerboat. Of course it was a powerboat.
You're doing difficult jobs as it is, and then you get that. Although heavy weather was forecasted, this didn't stop boats from anchoring too closely to us.
What is with people in the Chesapeake? There's a whole anchorage out all over there. All over there. No, we want to anchor right here.
Not only anchor, they use grappling hooks. Little Barbie-sized grappling hooks, not even Mission Impossible style.
So they basically drag when the wind blows more than 3 knots.
But as soon as he turns his engine off, he's going to back into us. He's going to be right up next to us, isn't he? Because we're all facing.
Yeah, he can't anchor there. He's.
Do you want me to go out and say it to him?
Yeah, he's way too close. He'll definitely swing into us. We swing different to them. Laura's going to lay the smack down.
He said he's only got a little bit out, so he won't come further back. However, we've got 40 metres out, so if the wind changes, we'll be scooting around right into him. So the fact that he's got a few metres out doesn't matter.
It does matter. If the wind blows harder, he'll just drag back.
But even that, he says not very deep here. It's more than a few metres deep from what we saw him put in.
Yeah, we're anchored in 3 metres where we dropped our anchor.
The tide does change. Is the boat in order?
Find out.
Eventually the storms arrived.
The National Weather Service in Wakefield has issued a tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Gatesville, moving north at 45 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris.
We're still not pulled back on the anchor yet. 42 metres from our spot. That should be higher because we had 35 on the wind gauge.
Beyond the forecasted storms, we also got hit with plenty of unforecasted squalls rolling through over the summer. Just when we thought the weather was settling down, along comes an unforecasted 50-knot windstorm that formed just ahead of us.
Are we dragging? It's hard to tell, but not much if we are. It's hailing.
We got 50 knot winds.
50 knot?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Oh, probably is.
My screen blew off. It's still hanging on strong, but
We don't seem to have dragged, but
I don't know.
the chart's saying we have.
It looks like we have, unless the boat next to us dragged as well. I think we are a little bit closer to these fishing boats than we were earlier.
But the cranes are just there.
I don't know. We are further back than this other boat. We have dragged.
One thing good about all the storms was all that water.
Collecting water isn't a dry job. When you see it raining, if it's not already set up, you've got to get out there and direct it in the rain and a little bit of wind. And as you get your buckets full, you have to come out and empty them. Otherwise it's good fresh falling rain that you're missing on catching.
At least the boat got a good wash down and we used the opportunity to set up our new DIY rain catcher.
And then we run back inside until the next bucket pulls.
Because a bucket and funnel didn't work out too well for me.
Your shout has been so loud because I could hear it. No! Saved it on the scoop and the very last centimetres. What you start focusing on is the opportunities of rain collection.
I got a bit obsessed.
It's going to waste.
Beyond dodging storms, we plan to visit some sites in neighbouring states of the Potomac River.
What's happening in there, in that small space? We're meant to be going to Washington in a day.
We're not going to Washington. Well, to start with.
And from here, we got started on the summer of boat jobs.
Do